panel this morning are Ms. Pearl Wise, Mr. Freeman, and Bonnie Jackson, and I will be chairing today. The support staff located at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge are, you are serving a sentence for manslaughter. You were sentenced on March the 13th, 2003, to 40 years, and also aggravated second-degree battery. And you were sentenced on that on February 12th, 2019, where you received 5 years at hard labor to run concurrent with the manslaughter sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to explain the process to you. I've already read some identification into the record.
To call out for the record, how long you been in jail?
It will be 20 years, exactly May 28th of this year, 2022.
20 years on May 28th. And you have had 4 write-ups in those 20 years, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't get a write-up for the 2019 incident.
No, ma'am.
Yeah,
It had happened.
Go ahead.
It had happened in May of 2017, and
Yes.
they had brought me back to Tallulah from LCIW in February of 19 to get sentenced at the courthouse.
Oh, okay. Mr. February 17. So tell us about that. That's very disturbing. What was going on?
Yes, ma'am. I had 15 years. I had an excellent record, and I got shipped to Tallulah, and I let my emotions, me and this girl, Rachel, I let my emotions and my anger get the best of me. That's how I can put it. But since then, however, I have taken anger management. I've taken living in balance, substance abuse, phase 1 and 2, life's healing choices. I took a 12-week experiencing God Bible study. I did the Inside Kairos weekend experience. I did the 9 months of Celebrate Recovery inside. I did the Onesimus Project for 10 months, and I did the Partners in Parenting for 12 weeks, and I attend AA meetings regularly. And I've got some degrees and some certificates too in horticulture, landscaping, and NCCER, and I'm also an NCCER instructor. But I had taken anger management in Cottonport years ago, and over there they just taught us to understand and reduce our angry feelings. But over here, when I took it, it taught us how to cage your rage. It taught us our triggers. It taught us, there's alternatives. There's other ways, because it's like if you make a choice, whether it's a good choice or a bad choice, there's consequences you have to face. And they didn't teach us that back then. But it's like now I know that. I got the tools now.
I'm glad to hear that. That sounds like you have really thought about that. But I'm just going to put on the record that victim is strongly opposed to your early release, and so is the DA's office. Strongly opposed. Okay. Had that not happened, my decision would have been easy. But I'm very challenged. I want you to know that about that incident. So you did. So what are your triggers for anger? Because and let's go back to your murder charge. What was that all about?
I let my anger get the best of me, because I had been angry my whole life, and when I did a fourth step probably 20 times in my whole life and never got to the root of my problems and my anger. And when I did my fourth step over here in Celebrate Recovery, I got to the root of my problem. And I had been angry at myself my whole life, and I just took it out on people that was the closest people to me. And it was just me I was mad at my whole life, because I always felt like I was different, because I grew up liking girls. And nobody else in my town or my family was like that. So I just hated myself all these years. And I just took it out on other people, and that's what happened. And I mean, I'm sorry, to the family of him because we all grew up together. And
Stop you
they
there.
trusted.
It's my understanding that if you are granted parole today, that family still lives next door to where you will be living. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. They don't live there?
No, ma'am. They live in another city, another town.
Okay. You sure?
His sister was living in Brobridge or Henderson. That's like 40 minutes from where we live.
So to your knowledge, they did used to live next door to you when you were growing up, like y'all were next door neighbors. The young man that you killed.
Yes, ma'am. When we were children.
Okay, and your understanding is that all of them have moved away. That's your understanding.
To my understanding.
That's right. So if you were successful today, where would you live and how would you support yourself?
Okay, right now I'll be financially secure and I'll be living in my mom's house. My mom had cancer and she passed away March 21st.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. March 21st of when?
This year. They found out at the end of January that she had stage 4 cancer and she passed away March 21st. And I'll be living in her house. And my two sisters and my niece, we all live like within 1/4 of a mile from each other on family land. So I'll be living over there. I'll have transportation. And I've talked to the Medicaid lady and she's already made me an appointment with the nurse practitioner in our little town, Miss Nancy Snyder, and at Mental Health in New Iberia. And if I'm released, I would go to my parole officer and see if he has a list of all the AA meetings and some numbers of the sponsors. And I want to try to find a good group. I want to try to find a Celebrate Life recovery group. I want to try to find an anger management support group. And I also have to get in touch with, her name is Miss Valerie Email. She has the New Beginnings class over here. And she gives the naltrexone. It's it blocks the endorphin receptors in your brain. So that way you don't feel alcohol or anything like that. And they have a 16 to 20 session aftercare support group that goes along with this that I want to do. And I also want to get me a job. I used to farm sugarcane with my cousin. And the shop is right across the road from my mom's house. I haven't gotten a chance to get in touch with him, but he might need help. If not, there's sugarcane farmers all around. I have degrees, I got certificates, and
you have spent your time well, and you really have spent your time. So what would you say to the victim's family? If they were here, just briefly, what would you tell them?
I would just tell them how I'm sorry and we grew up together and they trusted me and I let them down. And it's like I've done everything to better myself and I'm not coming back. And to Rachel, I'm sorry, but it's like back then I didn't have the tools I have now. If I'd have done stuff different back then, I didn't know, I didn't have the right tools that I got at LCIW. The programs over here work. The one at Cottonport didn't work. They didn't teach us what they taught us over here. And now I have what I need because the tools I got over here is the tools I use here. Because it's an everyday basis over here. It's a struggle. So if I could, I pass, it's like I just passed the test here. If you can do it in here, I can do it out there. I know I can.
Thank you, man. I don't want to put this on the record. One of your victims, 9 members of the family sent in letters of opposition. One of your victims, 9 members of their family sent in letters of opposition. You have strong DA law enforcement opposition, and your other victim is also strongly opposed to your early release. I just want to state that for the record, but I just want to commend you for your good work.
Okay,
that's all
could I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Bo Dewey, the district attorney,
Huh?
I get the Daily Iberian where I'm from, and
Uh-huh.
he had an article in there, and this is the article right here. And
Uh-huh.
they had opened up a new juvenile assessment and service center in New
Okay.
Iberia, and he's the one that was cutting the ribbon. And it's the area juveniles they charge with delinquent offenses.
Okay.
And parents can also refer their child to this program if their child is displaying ungovernable behavior.
Okay.
And I'm NCCR certified. I'm an instructor to teach craft skills. And I was thinking about getting in touch with him when I get out and see if I could donate my time and try to help some of these juveniles.
That's
And
wonderful.
maybe we can teach them some skills and put them in the workforce, and maybe we could help these kids. And I also have I have this right here. They have this, one of the Saints players. He has a foundation. It's called Tay Nation. And he's partners with families and friends of Louisiana's incarcerated children. And I would like to get in touch with them too, because maybe they can help us. Maybe we can start in Iberia Parish with the juveniles and spread out to other parishes. And I don't know, these kids need to know somebody cares.
Thank you for that. You really give that some thought, and I appreciate hearing that.
And
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wale, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Wale,
Yes, ma'am.
when you spoke to Ms. Wise about your manslaughter charge, you just simply said you had anger issues. Why were you angry at this victim? Why did you take out anger on this particular victim?
Because he had called and threatened to kill me and my family and stuff like that. And I shouldn't even, I had called the cops, I had called his parole officer, and they had just told me, they're like, well, we can't do nothing unless he does something first, and
You got a gun from your parents' house and you
Yeah.
acted looking for him. And when you found him, you killed him. And then you enlisted a friend of yours to help you dispose of his body. Is that accurate?
no, I acted alone. I did.
But what about disposing of his body?
Yes, I
She-
did.
She was charged with being an accessory after the fact.
She did.
That-
She was charged with that, but she didn't have anything to do with it. She knew
I-
about it. She knew about it.
Well, sometimes people do things in the heat of the moment. But in this case, it wasn't the heat of the moment. You had to go get a gun and then you had to go and look for him. And so you had ample opportunity to think about what you were doing and make different choices. And then when I look at the situation in the jail, again, you made the deliberate choice to heat up water in the microwave. And if it's going to be boiling, that's going to be 2 or 3 minutes to get it to boiling. And then you put sugar in it so that it would be a thicker liquid that will cause her more harm. And that troubles me. I want you to know that, because
Yes,
again, this was not a spur of the moment impulse kind of action. You thought about that. You had to make preparations for doing that. And I'm not quite sure how comfortable I am. I know you've taken anger management classes, and I'm glad to hear that. But, certain things you ought to know without having to take a class. That you're going to pour boiling water on someone and put sugar in it. And I understand it was because of some dispute or disagreement with her involving a girlfriend of yours. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And I have never had a girlfriend since, because I gave it up.
Again, you say that now, but I'm concerned what happens in future relationships if you get angry or when you get disappointed. And all of that training, because you had anger management training before,
Yes, ma'am.
and all of that might just go out of the window. So how can we be confident that something like this isn't going to happen?
I know it's not gonna happen
Well, you may know, have to make us confident that it's not going to happen, not just you knowing it.
because I don't want, I have taken a vow of celibacy, and I don't want relationships anymore. I don't. I just the idea of me being with someone or someone touching me or me touching someone else, I'm not comfortable no more. I've been through a lot, and that's not something I want no more.
That the victim of the manslaughter wasn't an intimate partner. So it's not relationships, it's what's going on in you and the anger that you seem to have that you take out on other people. Regardless of what the cause of it is, you make some pretty deliberate steps to.
I was pregnant for him at the time.
Okay.
Hmm?
That's information that's new to us, that's never been disclosed before. All right, well, thank you. That's all the questions I
I
have.
forgot to ask the
Ms.
warden.
Wise.
So I forgot to ask the warden, if there any input, staff there have for us, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good morning.
Good.
I'm Assistant Warden LaShonda Burks. So she has completed the horticulture program here at LCIW. Since completing the program, she continues to be the caretaker of the plants in the LCIW greenhouse. As far as mental health, she is stable and compliant with treatment. She has completed numerous self-help and cognitive behavioral programs. She has a total of 4 disciplinary reports while being housed here at LCIW, the last one being on January 8, 2005, and that was for disobedience. And that concludes my input.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right, well, now, Ms. Wale, we'll hear from the speakers. And the first one is Kylie Aber, your niece.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
She's not connected.
Okay, Ms. Aber is not connected to audio, so she's not able to hear us. So we'll go on and see if we have Vicky LeBlanc. Is Vicky LeBlanc on the call?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead, Ms. LeBlanc. What would you like to say on behalf of Ms. Wale?
Yes, she's my sister, and I'm in favor of her coming home. She has all my support and my family support. We all live by each other on family land. And my sister lives next door, which is her sister and niece. And, you know, we have a couple of kids and grandkids, and we, you know, we have, you know, she has our full support.
Thank you. And we still don't have Ms. Hebert. All right. Well, Ms. Wale, is there a closing statement that you'd like to make on your behalf to the board?
I just wish y'all have mercy on me, because I know what I did in the past is wrong, but I promise y'all with everything in me, I'm not coming back. When you know better, you want better, you do better. And I've learned better. I'm better today than I was yesterday, but I'm not as good as I'm gonna be tomorrow. And I want to go out there and make a difference. And what I did in the past, there's no excuse for that. And these people didn't even deserve that. The people or their families didn't deserve it, because not just them as victims. Even Rachel, she's not a victim. Her family's a victim too. It's not just her. And none of them deserve that. But I want to go out there and make a difference. And I want, like, even the DA, I want to work with him in the future to try to do something with these kids, these juveniles. In relationships, I'm done with relationships. I know y'all probably don't believe me, but I'm done with them. I don't want that anymore. I have a focus. I want to start a business. I want to start my own business. I have some fonts that I have to get copyrighted. I have to get in touch with this guy. He said if I get released, I have to get in touch with him. He has a attorney in New Orleans. And we'll do the proper and the legal way, how to copyright my fonts and get a screen printing business going. And I don't know, I just feel like I can do a lot out there. I can, but my focus is on my family, staying sober and helping people, not to make the same mistakes I made. And I want to go in these high schools and talk to these kids, because I know they have a lot of kids sitting there in those high schools that's hating themselves and that's angry with themselves and don't know how to talk about their problems. And I don't want it to just build up like it did with me, and then all of a sudden someone gets murdered, you know? I mean, no.
Thank you, Ms. Wale. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes, I'm ready.
We'll start with Ms. Wise.
Thank you. You have really prepared for today. I hear you. I hear your heart. I hear your intentions.
Yes,
I hear
ma'am.
your intentions. I hear your efforts that you're going to make. But I'm just not willing today to take a chance on you. And my
Okay.
condolences for your loss of your mother.
Thank you.
Come from a very good family, and I appreciate hearing from them today. But
Thank
due to the overwhelming victims' opposition,
Okay.
strong law enforcement opposition, I'm just not willing to take that chance today. You keep doing what you're doing. Get another hearing. Take
I
care.
respect that. I respect that. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Freeman.
I also concur. I'm very proud of what you've done while you've been there.
Thank you.
To them put the ball in water does make me a little nervous. I think without that, it would have been a slam dunk vote, but I'm gonna deny it this time.
Okay, I can respect that too.
Well, Ms. Wale, you got 2 votes to deny, so you know the outcome today is not going to be favorable. My vote today also is to deny because of strong victim opposition, law enforcement.
Okay.
But you've done a lot of good work, and you have a good heart, ready to get out and serve. And so I'm going to urge you to stay out of trouble.
That's
Keep working hard.
And I'm gonna keep striving to do better than I'm doing right now. And I want to come back before y'all and prove to y'all. I don't know how long it'll be before I can come back. 2 years. I'll be back in 2 years to see y'all.
Well, I look forward to seeing the progress you've made.
All right.
All right. Good luck to you, Ms. Wale.
I thank y'all so much. I thank y'all.
The time is 8:57 a.m. and we're going to close out at LCIW.
At least whatever God's will, I pray for his will. Whatever his will.
Wow. Well, I hope the will is to keep Louisiana safe, because that in my opinion was a pretty scary hearing, a very strange hearing. There's something about her, grandiosity maybe, total lack of self-awareness. You would think mental illness, and I'm not diagnosing her. I'm only speculating on a situation like this. For those who know, you know. It's just like I'm left speechless, really, from this hearing, of course, and other Miss Wise interviews. So you don't go into, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's great. Oh, okay. And, you have to get Miss Jackson to poke around a little bit to find out that even while she was locked up, it seems that she had cooked water, made it as dangerous and as damaging as she possibly could to boil it, and putting much sugar in it. Was that what she did? And then poured it on a love rival? So she's in prison for taking a life because she can't control herself. And then while she's in prison, she pretty much commits a similar crime, and you just gloss over that right up. I mean, come on. I just can't with these interviews, but it's that, I mean, and then Mr. Freeman, it would be a slam dunk case without that write up. And I don't know why it would be a slam dunk case. I saw someone who was just totally in La La Lands, living in this. I'm going to contact the district attorney and I'm going to reach out to him and he's going to have me teach juveniles how to, I don't know what it is that she did, how to make little stuff, and then we can put them in the workforce. And I'm going to copyright font, and I'm going to reach out to an attorney and copyright my font. And I'm going to reach out to this football player, and I'm going to talk to kids. I mean, like, I think the last person who should be around kids and juveniles would be you. I'm sorry, but no, I'm not sorry. You know, we don't have a lot of information on her case. She didn't go to court. She didn't appeal. I mean, she took a plea deal, but from what Richard found, it was at 2 a.m. in the morning. The connection to the body found Saturday in rural Iberia Parish, according to a press release issued by IPSO. Wallet 30 was charged with second-degree murder of the man who has been tentatively identified as Kerbit, who's 36. The body was badly decayed, but photo identification found the victim. All examinations point to identification being correct. He was determined Monday that Robert was killed by a gunshot wound to the heart, which, you know, it does speak about, this was like, you know, when a woman shoots a man in the heart, that says a lot, right? He estimated that the body has been in the water where it was been found earlier this month. The forensic examination is still underway, and the positive identification is expected once the body's dental pattern is matched to the dental records. The body was found Saturday by a man and his son as they rode their four-wheelers through the hunting lease property, their road. The IPSO began a full investigation and tentatively identified base photos. The cause of death became clear. Detectives conducted many interviews to piece together Robert's movements through his final days. The release stated on May 13th, it has been contacted at St. Mary's Parish Office, and a missing person report was filed. Robert, who was originally from St. Mary's Parish, according to the release. And then I'm not going to scroll further down because there's an address listed, even though the address is 20-something years old. I don't want to risk getting a violation. So, but basically they figured out it was her and they arrested her. And then we find out on this hearing that he was carrying her baby. And the way she even talked about the crime was like, well, he wronged me. And you know, and it was like, there's no self-awareness. I didn't hear any remorse. I didn't hear any regret. I didn't hear Miss Wise ask her to talk about what she did. There was nothing. How can you even figure if someone should get released if you don't even fish around and see if there's remorse? And while she's in prison, she repeats another crime with passion. And her answer is, I'm celibate. I would never touch another person or have another person touch me. And it's like, really? So without a write-up, you would have let her out? Someone who's total, like, that's her game plan? That's crazy. That's scary because she, in my opinion, is dangerous. I mean, there's no remorse shown at all. She took a life. She took, I guess, according to her, the father of her unborn child's life. Then here's something which is interesting. They're calling for the DA to resign. So the family member of the deceased went and said that so you know, they're doing what a lot of us feel that more people should do. So the group of residents wanting to recall the 16th District Attorney Phil rallied in front of the Iberia Parish Courthouse. About 25 people gathered briefly before noon, many carrying signs reading, "Mr. Haney, resign now. Time for a change and justice for all." The crowd loudly chanted, "Phil must go." As visitors and courthouse employees came and went, Recall Committee leader Greg Johnson said his group has investigated 25 cases in which minorities and the poor were prosecuted unfairly. He discussed some of those cases publicly for the first time When we summarized the findings, we found a dysfunctional, non-trustworthy district attorney's office. He said, our main purpose here today is to ask Mr. Haney to resign. Mr. Haney's resignation say the district is embarrassment and may restore the confidence of the judicial system. Haney denied Johnson's claim, unequal treatment. He said minorities of the poor make up the majority of enrolled several programs provided by the district attorney's office. I always say actions speak louder than words, and our actions were early intervention, and the drug court totally, absolutely contradict what they're saying. We are fair and do our job, and decisions are not based on the facts of this case. One of the defendants, Johnson said, was treated unfairly. Don is white. Camo is charged with accessory after the fact of manslaughter for allegedly helping his roommate Tessie Wallet cover up the shooting of May 20, 2002. Allegedly told Wallet that she cannot leave the victim's body where it was after learning the shooting. According to the records in an affidavit, arrest states she went with Wallet to return the gun to Wallet's parents' house. The DA's office promised her if she would testify on their behalf, they wouldn't charge her. He said, well, guess what? They convicted the person and they still charged her 1 year later. So they're saying that they did charge her after they said, okay. But she never testified on their behalf because she took a plea deal is my guess, but I don't know. We don't have details. They didn't charge the father, though, who was involved in the incident, and he had removed the weapon. What kind of justice is that? Johnson said Wallet's father was not charged because he is a millionaire. Court records show that Wallet's father tossed the gun and bullets out of his car after initially learning the incident, but later retrieved them and turned them into the police after consulting his attorney. Well, I mean, he did the right, once you do that, if you throw it out and then, her father is not guilty of anything, Haney said, to accuse the father reckless and without knowledge of the facts at this point of ignorance, Mr. Johnson. Johnson said in the other case, minorities were charged with bogus offenses in order to persuade them to testify or to provide information on the charges that were dropped. He is eligible. Minorities are often denied pretrial diversion where charges can be dismissed. Offenders take certain steps to fit certain criteria. A sentence recommendation for the same crime and the same history is different based on minority status, he said. All the documents the judges make their decisions sentencing were not even close to the case file. Whether this is just an error or of a sabotage, we don't know. Haney said that his office offers open discovery policy with defendants or provided with all the evidence against them. He said defendants who claim the system are unfair are often the same ones who refuse to accept responsibility for their actions. The implications that the judge do my bidding and the sheriff does my bidding, he said, does not want to know or to portray how it really works. For the recall, this is where the DA shows incredible hubris. For the recall effort to succeed, the group must collect 37,769 signatures by early October. Johnson said the group has received 28 signatures since the petition filed 2 weeks ago. Haney said he is not concerned. That's a lot of signatures to change the DA. They've got 28 signatures and they can only get 20 people at the courthouse. Haney said, quite frankly, I don't believe much of what they say because most of what they say is fabrication. And I mean, I don't know to comment on this case, what they say, but I do know that what we have seen in Louisiana is, I have no doubt that there is a lot of, we have seen, in my opinion, corruption and and hubris and not really caring much about their constituency. So, and any demand for change, I would probably support. But there you have it. That was a scary hearing, and someone who, in my opinion, should not be freed. I mean, I didn't see any accountability. Now, this hearing took place in 2022. And that means in 2 years, her next hearing will be coming up and we will show it here. And thank you, Richard, for sharing the information. Sorry about me speeding it up, but I do have to run. And with that, I'll let you go.